Swamp Folk DJ. Making you defy the laws of gravity, hosing your body cavity, agony. Come, let's get ravaged by the savage. Come like Damon and swinging with that AK-4. You play with his folks and be gon' show you with that AK-4. You're late for show, showing off ain't what that shotty for. And then he fell, he in jail, they got it too. It's open season on the species in danger, keeping 3 in the chamber, me, myself, and these strangers. And only one is gonna survive. I'm too good for myself, and these strangers got to die. These chambers got to slide, and these bullets inside got to fly. You got to fry. DJ Flame is the DJ name. Call me Sergeant Slaughter. Way too quoted the way for orders, trade by major pain. My battalion can make it rain. yeah, one time for Norris, baby boy Walker out there. One of the master DJs with that jamming, that Miami style DJ ain't going on. Back to the subject at hand. Active Moors, more active. I wrapped that thing up about how they did Ike. Tren de Agua, I think is the name of that clique. I just saw a news clip. I don't know how old that is, but you got this guy who came in under the Biden administration. I think the newscaster was saying, right? And this guy, he went after his wife, I think. Domestic issue. He's a now illegal immigrant because of what Trump is doing. I think he did come in under Biden, but Trump, he ceased and desisted all of that, and a lot of them who hadn't been here for the full term, because the term was only for so long, but who hadn't been over for the full term, those are the ones who are having rallies, and people are having rallies on their behalf. They're complaining. They even saying, like, where are the black activists at? Man, when the situation like this and the black activists are quiet with ICE and Homeland Security and all that. So I think his period wasn't up according to the Biden administration, but the Trump administration, they ceased and desisted. That whole program was like, look, y'all got to go. If you are found to be an illegal immigrant who came on your own, you got to go. Of course, if you got any type of warrants around the world, arrest warrant for certain activity, criminal activity, they got to go. So Tren de Agua is this dude that had a domestic issue that went after his wife, his sister-in-law, some children happened to be there, and something like a teenager was trying to stop him from coming in there, but he bogarted up in there and shooting at his wife, killed his sister-in-law, something like that. So, that is another part of the roundup that people are being silent on. What the lady was pointing out, she said, well, these people who are protesting the fact that he cessated, I think you called it, or stopped that program prematurely for people who still had X amount of months or a year or so left to stay. What about the part when we're rounding up these people who are actually criminals? So they chose to highlight this one particular case where you have Tren de Agua. I don't remember what country they are native to, originated from, that clique. Right, that's kind of new to me. I've been reading about them, but it's been like the last 3 years or something like that, 4 or 5 years. Tren de Agua, that's new on my radar. But the lady was pointing out, she's like, what about cases like this, where you have this guy, he's over here, criminal activity going on, maybe drug trafficking, I'm not sure, I forgot. I just saw this morning. But definitely this domestic issue, where he attempts to murder his wife, and murders his sister-in-law instead because he missed the wife, like his vital organs. And they're like, well, what about stuff like this? Well, I mean, y'all acting like it's not any justice being served in the midst of the deportation, because what's happening and what been happening from the beginning. When they started going after the ones who were here under Biden administration, simply because here in America, like a lot of parts of the world, people tend to gravitate towards people they are more familiar with. We speak the same language, and certain cultures and whatnot. So they went to the neighborhood with their families and friends. But what's happening is that all illegal immigrants who've been over here and been coming back and forth, a lot of times they're in the area. So they'll either be bypassed, like two ships in the night, or they might even befriend some of them, whether they know they're illegal or not. So when ICE and Homeland Security started doing the raids, it's like everybody, even the ones they can't deport, right? They all get rounded up until they find out who's who. So what the lady was, the point she was making was like, look, you can't be so pro, how would you call this? Pro-immigration, that you lose sight of the fact we do have a lot of illegals. They are causing the insurance rate to go sky high, the criminal justice system, the penal system, the law enforcement to be so strenuous on us. A lot of these crimes being committed by people who ain't even that. Matter of fact, if you know anything about a true criminal, an international criminal, they don't really get off the chain till they get out their fucking hometown. So the crime in America really has a lot to do with people who not even from America, no matter where in the world they from. It's not about picking on no people from Mexico and Central and South America and the Caribbean. Anywhere in the world, any nationality, any skin color, they will come to America and run amok, just like other places where they're not from, because people don't know their effing name. The local police department can't even find their fingerprint. But these days, yeah, because you got computerized. But you gotta lift the right fingerprint and get lucky and da-da-da. So if they can move slick and smooth, right, they can really wreak a lot of havoc before the authorities can stop them. Meantime, we pay the price. So tough on crime, about all that crime rate and all that, for a so-called Black American and a Latin American, I'm saying a United States person that's a United States citizen, but they have Latin American heritage or whatever, or any other country where it's Spanish speaking, blah blah blah. So now we get the bad rap, right? Oh, the police profile. Oh, he's a Black American. He's a Spanish person living in America. Yeah, them old Spanish gang. I forgot the name of the gang. Brown Pride, Latin King. All this kind of stuff. Yeah. Blame it on us. But really, what's happening? You got people like this that's not even from the country. Don't pay taxes. Don't have a state ID. Don't have a state driver license. Blase squad. These people don't vote. They've been running up through this the whole time. You had a U.S. America of the United States of America, right? And that would help jack that job up and make us look bad. Like we doing all this job by ourselves, right? Now, take that in consideration. Let's look at one more thing. Since they used that particular incident, that brought something else to mind. They have something called femicide or something like that, where they kill a lot of females in like medical. See, so you're gonna put immigration rights above women's rights? And then you got the children, wherever the children are, the mother are, there's the child. From conception, gestation period, newborn, and on up, even into the woman is like 90 years old, we still tugging on her, mama, mama, mama. So look, and then you got the grands and great grands and stuff gonna be around her if she live long enough. Now, what about that? That's a global problem. You go in the Middle East, abuse of females is a problem. What they call that? Misogyny is a problem in the Middle East. A big problem. Among them phony Muslims, munafiqun is what you call them, if you want to talk about it properly, Quranic language, munafiqun and kafirun. They beat their women and do all other kind of stuff to their women, right? Make them second, third class citizen. They say Mexico is bad with it. And of course, we have other places. Brazil had a big problem where they talk about, and you know, Brazil get pretty hot. In Brazil, they have a saying, worldwide, they have a saying that don't talk about how we dress, scantily clad. You don't rape us. Don't say because we're scantily clad, that makes us an object of, a sex object. And you could just manhunt us and do anything you want to do with us. This is a global problem, misogyny. So they pointed this out, man. Don't have this feel-good revisionist historical account of what it was like before Trump was doing this, you know, and to say that he shortened the term of someone that came under the Biden administration. Because when I looked it up, if I remember correctly, the term was maximum like 2 years. And a lot of them was happening. They had only some months left, or maybe they just got here under that program, so they had like a year left or a year some change. Those are the people that they're really raising the most HELL about. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go back into what I'm saying. Because she pointed out another thing. The politicians and local policing forces, they were reluctant to work with ICE and Homeland Security. I remember the Broward County sheriff, he was reluctant, but they put some pressure down, and he got to the point a few days later, he was like, well, okay, yeah, I'm gonna help, because they started putting pressure down. Because, you know, this Homeland Security / ICE, this could easily get to be Coast Guard, Port Everglades, okay? National Guard, FBI, U.S. Marshal, Mr. Broward County Sheriff. So he said, all right, well, hell, you know, those motherfuckers gonna have to get rounded up. Whatever illegal immigrants they find, and whoever else out here slipping, those of us out here just slipping, they catch us slipping, they gripping. We gotta go. Habeas corpus. Fight it. Burn out. Now, I ended the last post about the money laundering that's been going on well before Isaac Hicks was knocked off. And up until this day, all them banks and jive I was talking about, you got a lot of Hispanic or Spanish-speaking people from various countries that run jewelers. They're jewelers. They deal in jewelry, right? So you have the jewel stores, you have the pawn shops that deal in jewelry and guns and all that, and then you got the banks. So all of this money laundering and stuff that's going on, you got all these bricks of jive coming from Central America and South America, Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, places that actually grow it, Mexico, and all the other places that where they go to right before they leave the shores of Central and South America. And then you have the Caribbean a lot of time, and then you have the States. On up into Canada, Alaska, down into Chile. Now, and the Eastern Hemisphere. This is the Western Hemisphere, yeah. The Eastern Hemisphere. Because cocaine naturally grows in the Eastern Hemisphere, in the Western Hemisphere. Maghreb al-Aqsa. We grow it naturally in the mountains. Yeah. Us Bays, us Moors, we grow it naturally in the mountains. Now, you can put it in a lab anywhere in the world. The hemp derivative or marijuana, cannabis plant is worldwide. Opium can be grown worldwide, but cocaine from the coca leaf naturally is grown in the mountains of Central and South America. This is why Chapo was so significant, that case and all that. And he was such a big time thing, because if they wanted that natural, they had to get it from over here, Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, and other places that grow it conspicuously, right? By the acres, by the miles. Cocaine, cocoa. And they had the processing, right, going on with the processing, kind of like stepping on grapes to make wine. And they got the black soot, smut stuff, absous, the noon, the black matter, right? And from that, we get the powder, white or beige, pinkish hue, fish scale blue, and all that kind of stuff. From that, the illicit schedule, I think 1 or A or something like street drug. Now, that was one thing, but you got the 100-to-1 ratio when you're dealing in Kriznak. All right. What's in the Liberty Bell? Didn't they crack it, right? The Liberty Bell, right? When you mess with that, you got a 1-to-100 ratio. So when they knocked Ike out, that was kind of relatively new on the scene for the media coverage and stuff like that. Movies and stuff like that. Average everyday conversation, even in elementary school. Your mama's on crack. Who that is? Disco Ricky the dog. No, she not. Right? And then with the Disco Ricky the dog. Your mama's on crack, rock. Right? So now with the 1-to-100 ratio, scientifically approaching this situation, they say demographically and scientifically, it was more likely that when the police found someone, usually in the urban neighborhoods with rundown projects and jive where they at, right? Stuff like that. Lower income used to be middle class, upper middle class, now is lower income and whatnot, struggling middle class black in Latino area is where they found the crack in the crack houses for the most part. Never mind the Diplomat, never mind the Doubletree, never mind the Hilton. Do tell. Never mind Trump Towers and all that. They found it in the urban area so bad that the area started to be mapped and designated as a crack infested area. Never mind in the Doubletree, Trump Plaza, Hilton Hotel and all that type of stuff. Diplomat, that's where the people who can afford to smoke it up, like Navajo Chief, and to send a runner here and there, probably just to a room next door, downstairs, right? No, if they want to catch the runner, they'll wait till that runner fuck around and go in the ghetto where some niggas will be at, so they can take some blacks. And you have a few of the places, like 3 of the places I think, that they're attached to Isaac Hicks were near Central High. So now you gonna get a lot of the black community saying, oh, low blow. Hey man, that's in a drug-free zone. What are you doing? That's a bad guy, right? Meantime, in the 80s, it's around the Marriott boat lift too. The Hispanics who have crept up into politics and whatnot, right? They're state senators. They also in there, the speakers of the House. They all over this job. New York, you name it, mayors and this and that. They are selecting Latino and Hispanic persons to be at HUD, Section 8, all this job that control. They even got to the zoning. And they started to rezone and rename areas and districts and all this. Then you got unincorporated this and that, where they took the rest of what was left of the sticks and started to develop that. They started redrawing the lines of demarcation within the counties, cities, and municipalities and parishes and whatnot, so that the demographics would read Hispanic majority or Latino majority. Now with that, they maintain control on the politics, police force, and even the bench in the Florida bar. If your ass ain't careful, your ass gonna be in jail before you even realize you could be a lawyer. Filing a motion to get out, trying to goddamn find a chink in their armor, some type of technicality to get off on. Now that you realize you a damn lawyer. You better than the fucking lawyer and the paralegals. How many jailhouse lawyers we know whipped so many paralegals, ran circles around paralegals and law firms from behind bars, looking at probably 20 more left to do now. 3 more left to do now. Done did about 30, 40, 50 years jive like that. You understand? You'll find yourself behind bars as a black man, or like I said, a Latin American, or whatever, Hispanic, who not with the BS. I don't know the name of the Hispanic house. I know about Pike, Red House, Blue House, Knights of Malta, some of the names of them, and what's his name? Prince Hall. But I don't know who the Hispanics got to thank for their Masonic Hall, where mostly Hispanics go to. I don't know the name of who their hero is for getting them into Masonry. I don't know if they just go Pike or what, because I don't think it quite worked like that. Because in white flight, from my studies, white flight took place largely because of Hispanics, Latin Americans. They were trying to get away from them. They had been living right next to blacks. They didn't want to live nowhere near Hispanics, the crackers. They got the hell from around the blacks to get away from the Latins when they came. And Latins came, when they came to Miami, New York, places like that. Big cities. In LA, California, LA and all that. So they say white flight, the what they call that? The conscious community. The conscious community that I picked up little tidbits from. They say white flight came about when the Latin American married our boat live and all that. They were trying to get the F away from them. They knew something about them. Now that I got a little higher education, I can surmise and put 2 and 2 together and say, yeah. The actual true Roman, before they start to whitewash the illustrated history, if we come across a photograph or painting, usually it's been whitewashed. A bust, a carving, usually been whitewashed if you get it through the school system. So in actuality, the actual Roman that fought Hannibal, Barca Bay, he was actually looking more like a Hispanic than anything, right? He would be light-skinned, not necessarily because of a mix with an Albion hybrid experiment Albion either. But he would be light, what we'll call mulatto lookers. They had to be dark skinned too. These were the Romans, these were the Etruscans and all that. They were dark skinned down to real light. And of course, amongst them, you had the white cargo after the experiment. And they didn't flip the script on us, the world, until around the mid 1700s, according to Alcida Ducatil scholarship. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm in the 22 minutes already. Oh, man. But I connected it to the last one. This will be D, I think, the letter D. And I'm going to slow this down and shut this off. Swamp Phone DJ will rise again.